Hey folks, welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. And can you imagine 2 years after a mission begins, after your family members have been in peril, deployed to the Congo, a place of endless strife and 30 plus years of conflict, on a quixotic mission for SADC to accomplish Lord knows what they were trying to accomplish there. Can you imagine that after an abysmal deployment in which troops are left without resources, without medevac capability, without food at times, with troops displaying abysmal fire discipline while in combat, a frightening deployment, and family members excited that their family members, their soldiers, will finally come home from the Congo? Well, leave it to Minister 30% Angie, the woman who screwed up education in South Africa for years. Now the defense minister, despite having absolutely no qualifications whatsoever for that post. Well, these troops were due to come back on Saturday, June 14th, which coincidentally is the 250th birthday of my army, a real military in a real country that defends its nation, its freedoms. But these poor soldiers were supposed to come back, the first 250 from 3,000 soldier mission in Samadrik, the Southern African Development Community's quixotic mission in the Congo. So the 250 were scheduled to come back. Now, Southern African Development Community contracted with Tanzanian Airways to fly them back. No problem with that. But clearly communication between SADC and the SANDF is either non-existent or nobody gives a flying flip. You see, folks, what happened was these 250 troops with their families waiting excitedly to see them again. The families were waiting for them at Bloemsprut in Bloemfontein at the airbase. But Air Tanzania changed planes. Now, it's not a 5-minute flight from the Congo or Tanzania to South Africa. It takes a few hours to pull this off. And this had to be done in advance. It couldn't have been done instantly. It's not like they have a 787 Dreamliner just sitting there available, because it went from a 737, the workhorse of many fleets around the world, to a 787 Dreamliner, which is an expensive plane and not a lot of them out there. 14 years of service, and sadly we just saw the first ever fatal crash in the Air India flight. But the 787 Dreamliner. And so they put these trips on that 787 Dreamliner and they flew them to South Africa. So while the minister and the military command council and all of the families were waiting to greet their family members back, so excited, the plane landed at Waterkloof 3 or 4 hours away in Pretoria. Seriously? Seriously? Minister 30% strikes again. You can't even get soldiers back to their family members. Now, why did this happen? Because it's a typical mission for the ruling party of South Africa. Fire and forget. No follow-up, no coordination. This is piss poor. People waiting for their family members to come back from this deployment. They've been gone for a couple of years. And this is how it ends. Now, more of them are supposed to be coming back today and should have already landed, but Lord knows where they're going to land, what plane they're going to land on. I mean, the SANDF clearly doesn't know. Minister 30% sure doesn't know. Now, you may say, wow, you're really nitpicking. I'm not nitpicking. I've been in deployments. I know what it means to family members and loved ones, children who haven't seen their fathers or mothers for months or over a year, worried about whether they're going to come home alive or not, to finally have that emotional moment to greet them back. It's a moment they'll never forget the rest of their lives. Stolen from them by the incompetence of the South African National Defense Forces 30% minister and her staff. Disgraceful. This, folks, this isn't just a, well, it's a mistake. Well, okay, this stuff happens. No, it doesn't just happen. This is what happens when you don't give a crap about your soldiers. This is what happens when you don't give a crap about your country. This is what happens when your troops are just pawns for your political purposes and not defenders of freedom and liberty, which they may feel they are, but you clearly don't. They're just political pawns to be used for your little games. Disgraceful conduct. Disgraceful. Minister 30% strikes again. Finished destroying basic education in South Africa. Now she's destroying military preparedness. What say you, South Africa? Is this overly critical? Will the hate wankers come on and attack me because she's brown? Will you? No, she's incompetent. That's what she is. And that speaks volumes about South Africa, the government of national unity, and the ANC for sure. Wow, you can't even get folks back. Look, I mean, I understand they had to change planes. You don't have control over that. But don't you have a telephone? Have you ever heard of text, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, Facebook, anything to tell people? And how about transporting the families up there instead of Angie Masheka giving a little speech to honor the heroes who aren't coming to Bloemsprut? And at the end, this is what she had to say. She attributed the mess to flight problems to technical and logistical issues. Yeah, the technical issue is the incompetence of the 30% ministry. Yeah, and logistical issue is your inability to dial a phone number. Pretty simple. What say you, South Africa? Cheers.